Music was a lifeline, the record label helping former offenders thrive after prison. Red Tangent Records is helping ex prisoners discover their talent and enter the music industry. Three of its artists discuss the label's impact on their post prison lives. This was written by Daniel Dillon Ray for The Guardian, published on September 14th, 2022. I got this article from my wife. She sent this to me because she knows I love music. And if you've been following my channel, my content, my story over the past few years, you know that I'm a failed rapper and a failed musician as well. And, I have a few really shitty songs floating around on the internet, and you can check them out on my channel and stuff. I've given up on music, but I still will always love music, and I think music is probably one of the most powerful art forms because not everybody likes plays, not everybody likes movies, not everybody likes literature, but everybody has a favorite song, and that's why music is so powerful. So there is such a pool of raw talent in prisons, says David Jones, CEO of Changing Tunes and co-founder of Red Tangent Records. There are inmates who potentially have a real chance of making it in the music industry, so we thought we should do something for them. Red Tangent was founded in 2021 by the team behind Changing Tunes, a charity that uses music to support UK prisoners and ex-prisoners in leading lives free from crime. Red Tangent is a label for people who lived experiences of prison, run by people who lived experiences of prisons. Jones said, "That's in our DNA." Securing funding from the National Lottery Community Fund, the label has been able to sign 6 artists in its first year, including singer-songwriter Ryan Kershaw, South London rapper Noble One BOF, and the hip-hop metal collective Whack Therapist. The label is hoping to help ex offenders enter an industry that is already tough enough to penetrate for those with more obvious advantages. If you are also coming from a place of having a criminal record, that's a barrier, says Jones. Uh, Plus all of the ancillary challenges that come with having been to prison: potential relationship breakdowns, debt, housing insecurity, mental health problems, addiction problems. There are extra barriers. That means that many talented artists with real potential are just never going to get picked up by commercial labels. That's somewhat true and not true. At least, my background is in hip hop, and at least in hip hop, so many rappers have either come out of jail, got signed, got big, or went to jail while they were going through their careers, or went to jail after in their careers. But hip hop has saved so many lives, which is why I love the art form. It's done so much for people that have nothing, especially African American men. And music in general is just always like the last art form that is willing to accept anyone or anything, because making a hit song or making a classic album is so hard, so it doesn't matter who can do it, because most people can't do it. A square, some accountant, some lawyer can't make, a hit song or a hit album, but wherever it comes from, people, the music industry will take it. And also the music industry has a history, a long, 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 long history of being run by people with, shady backgrounds, criminals, gangsters, thugs, all sorts of things since the beginning. So, Abe Gladstone was a 23-year-old who was partying a lot and misbehaving, and ended up doing 19 months on drug possession charges. While in prison, he enrolled in one of Changing Tunes' mentoring programs. Now 29, he's one of the co-founders of Red Tangent and an MC and whack therapist. The most important part of my rehabilitation, other than my family, was Changing Tunes, he says. The power of what they do is incredible. Yeah, one of the things that I really hated about growing up in Monroe, Louisiana, was that we didn't have any avenues to, express our musical talent. And I know that, you know, I was around in the era of, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. But all of that was like really new for us, and we didn't really know how to work it. So when it comes to just actually having a place to actually try to do your talent or work on your talent, especially hip hop, which is very intensive, you know, it's unfortunate that, in that circumstance I didn't have that growing up, because maybe it would have turned out different. Maybe I wouldn't be failed. I don't know. Anyway, Gladstone says that his time inside revealed to him how many talented artists end up wasting their potential. Drug addiction is the really big killer. The spice problem is in prisons is enormous. They're doing spice in jail. If anybody doesn't know, spice is supposed to be like spice is like synthetic marijuana, fake marijuana, right? at least as far as I understand. And yeah, why would you smoke fake weed in jail when you can get real weed in jail? I mean, in prison, people are pretty much doing everything on the outside. It's just a different environment. I don't know. You'd have talented people coming to changing tunes, and they might turn up high, or they might not turn up next week, and you'd fear the worst, he says. It's quite sad thinking about it. You can't get to everyone, even though changing tunes really do try. Reggie Fowle Boston, who performs as Noble 1 BOF, had a long history in the prison system, serving multiple sentences spanning 15 years for firearms and robbery, along with possession with intent to supply. During my time spent incarcerated is when I picked up music as a hobby, as a way to release my feelings, he says. It's a caged place with nobody to talk to, so music was that little escape, a lifeline. Staring down a 10-year sentence of which he served 6, he realized things needed to change. Music was his vehicle. On the last sentence, I was like, man, this is long. I can't do this anymore, he says. That's when I started formulating a plan. I realized I've actually got a talent. I'm good at making music, and I want to share it with the real world. You know, Noble One BOF is a rap artist, I imagine. He's a rapper, you know. I don't know if he has bars or not. Hopefully you have to have bars if you were in jail for a long time. You should have enough time to put together like some decent bars. Anyway, I'll say that hip hop is such a great or powerful art form because a lot of black men don't have access to therapy, and I do believe it's a therapeutic practice to write down your feelings or your beliefs or your ideas. And literally in hip hop, that's what it's about. You write down your feelings in the pattern of a poem, and it's probably kept so many young black men from going insane. I don't even know if Noble One BOF is black or white. I don't care. I'm talking about hip hop in general, what it has done. All right. So all the stupid people in the comments, shut up. So for the artist, it works with. Red Tangent has provided not just financial and industry assistance, but also empathy and emotional support. Knowing that someone gets what I'm doing, they understand going to prison, and they're willing to help me reach success, that's a massive boost, Fowl Boston says. It gives me the drive to keep going. I don't know the route, but I know where I'm trying to get to. And if I've got to go down a dead end, I'll go down there. But then I'll try the next road. It's a positive thing that this guy David Jones is helping these formerly incarcerated people, because one of the biggest problems in American society is the stigmatization of people who have been to prison. I'm a supporter of the Ban the Box initiative or movement, which is the movement that says, on your applications, when they ask you, have you ever gone to jail or been incarcerated, or are you on probation or on parole, you should not have to disclose that to your employer if you are finished with your probation or your parole, right? That's what I would say. It's not fair that people pay their debt to society with literally their lives, and take away, even if they have done heinous crimes. Once you've finished your sentence and all of the requirements after that, you should be able to be in society and contribute to society. We have a permanent underclass of people who go to jail, and then they have to, or they end up going back to prison because they have no other options to support themselves. And I would even argue, now that I think about it, I would even argue if you are on probation or parole, you should not have to admit that to your employer, unless maybe you're a sex offender. I haven't really thought about this deeply, but as I'm thinking through it right now, I do know and I do believe that we need to make it easier for people to reintegrate into society after serving time in prison. I hope that's not controversial, but we know who that is controversial to in America: the right wing extremists. Anyway, Ryan Kershaw served 6 months in prison in 2019 after pleading guilty to purchasing pepper spray, which is regulated as a firearm in the UK, online. While serving his sentence, music proved to be a vital creative outlet. I had all my dignity stripped from me, Kershaw says. I think music probably saved me at one point because I couldn't see any way out from what I was going through. I couldn't see an end in sight. That's beautiful. What a beautiful story. Kershaw uploaded songs he had written in prison to SoundCloud, and once he was released, Red Tangent offered to put his music out, an experience he describes as a dream come true. He says, those songs I wrote in prison, I got to record them professionally with strings, cellos, violins, double bass, really top musicians coming in and playing my songs. That's beautiful. For Jones, the aim of the label is to act as a stepping stone to propel artists while supporting them through a transitional period. The hope for our artists is that they get snapped up by bigger fish, he says. We're a tiny label with limited resources, but it is an important piece of the jigsaw in getting people to a place where going back to crime is not the obvious choice. So, this is something I absolutely 1000% love. As a society, we need to treat people who have served time better. We need to reintegrate them into society. You don't have to forgive them for their crimes. You don't have to say that what they did wasn't heinous or horrible, though something like buying pepper spray and you get years in jail for it, or whatever you've done. After you serve your debt to society, you should be able to come out. And this also goes to show how powerful music is. You know, music is the most powerful art form, and it's also the only art form where you can simply redeem yourself through the merits of your talent. So it was a pleasure reading this article, and thank you for watching. My name is Simon Hill. Peace.